Hi there, I'm Natalie McLean, editor of Canada's largest wine review site, and tonight on the Sunday Sipper Club, we have a very special guest. He joins me now live from Oregon. Oregon, you made me fix that the first time, I think. Tim, hey, Tim, how are you? All right, so I am going to refresh and make sure we are live on Facebook, Tim. This is going to be a great conversation. So as I'm checking and trying to multitask, which we all know is a myth, oh yes, we are live there. That's terrific. Let me introduce you and then you can fill in the gaps. You are one of the first two people in America, American residents, to pass the very, very difficult Master of Wine course exam, which is for anyone, for anyone who's in the industry, they know just how difficult that is. You are a professionally trained chef. You have been in the industry consulting, advising, giving presentations for 35 years. You've spoken in 27 countries, and you've written 2 books that I know of. There might be more out there. We're going to talk about all of that and your online courses. What have I left out, Tim?
I think that's about it. And just for clarification for people who are on who don't know, Master of Wine is kind of the business and the science end of things versus a Master Sommelier, which is the hospitality, the art and service of wine, that kind of stuff. So
that's a good clarification to make. Thank you for doing that. Yes, absolutely. And Lori has already joined in. People are coming on. Not everyone is. Hello, Lori. And she says, hi, Natalie and Tim. If you're just joining us here on the Sunday Sipper Club, please just let us know where you're logging in from, what's in your glass. Again, we're going to have a really good conversation tonight with Tim Hanai. And Tim, let's dive right in because you've done a lot of fascinating research. You have a term that phenotype. Tell us what a phenotype is and where you came up with this.
Well, about 25, 27 years ago, actually, I started trying to understand why 2 experts, an expert and a consumer, 2 people sitting, sharing the same wine out of the same bottle in the same moment could have such disparate opinions about what they're experiencing and whether they like it or not, and that kind of stuff. Anybody who's had enough wine is familiar with that shtick. So a series of very interesting things led me to sensory scientists who research our vastly, vastly different sensory physiology, all right?
Yeah.
And that led to people who studied the neurology of perception and perception sciences. And so the last 30 years I've been working in this realm. And about 10 years ago, I was with my primary research colleague, who is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She's a pediatrician from Cornell University. And we were talking about phenotypes. So if anybody remembers from Biology 101, a phenotype is an organism defined by its genetics and then changes and adaptations over time due to environment. And so the word phenotype just kind of came out, and that's what we call people when you look at your own individual sensory physiology. And that determines what you're capable of sensing and at what intensity. And it's hugely different from one person to the next. And then also your learning, your culture, your peers, your life experiences, and the things that neurologically shift and change, neuroplasticity as it's called,
right,
over time. Yeah. And that's you, that's me, that's all of us. So everybody has their own unique phenotype
and so many different influences. So I may jump around, so clarify for me where I skip over a big part here, Tim, because you've got so much information. But so how so people perceive things differently. We have different taste experiences, and we bring this all to when we taste wine. How does that connect at all, if it does, with this sort of phenomenon or misnomer, I think you would call it, of supertaster?
Yeah, and it's not a misnomer. It's just it was a super taster was a choice of words for actually genetic research that was being done by my friend Dr. Linda Bartoshuk, who's one of my mentors and playmates in all of this. What happens is when you have a word like super taster, people think it's some sort of superiority or that it's better or whatever. So the whole thing's been taken out of context. And also, and I think Dr. Ann Noble even mentioned this on a comment on your site. It was specifically for people who have a sensitivity or no sensitivity or a hypersensitivity to a specific compound called thiourea. It comes in many forms, PROP or PTC and so on. And so what happened is everybody started to declare, oh, I'm a super taster, oh, well, of course, if you're expert in wine, you've got to be a super taster. So the whole thing's just been totally taken out of context.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Right, better or worse, as opposed to more sensitive to a particular compound versus not as sensitive. Yeah. And so
Exactly.
why did they get it? And I'll just take a moment to welcome Lise and Anne and Stephen and Gwen. Everybody's coming in the door. Thanks, guys. We see you. Hello. But why did that get confused? Because I guess how did that happen with super taster? It just means more sensitive taster to this compound, but how did...
To this specific compound, yeah, that's
right.
Because humans love to think that we do or don't have some sort of superiority, or I don't understand wine, so sommeliers or wine experts have to be super tasters. So it's just the terminology was relatively appropriate for the work that was being done. And it's just, again, people run with it and take it out of context. And so it's like the word umami, which I introduced into our language fundamentally 30 years ago. People started talking about it and teaching about it without even understanding what the umami taste was. And it's just kind of human nature.
Absolutely. Well, again, you're hitting on so many touch points that I want to go down. Umami, maybe you can define that since you've brought it up. How can we define that?
Umami is a primary. So one of the big things is there's a huge train wreck of a mess around sensory terminology and what words mean and so forth. So the very first thing to clean up, taste is one of our primary sensations, all right?
Okay.
You've got taste, you've got smell, you've got touch, you've got hearing, you've got sight. If you have certain genetic characteristics, you need something to help you see better.
Right.
If you lack certain receptors, you will be colorblind in sight. Those colors don't exist because there is actually no color in reality. It only occurs in our head, right?
Right.
So what we've done is we've taken a lot of principles and sort of mishmash them and whatever. So you've heard that most of taste is really smell.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not.
Oh, it's not really.
That's like saying most of this wall is really that picture. No, the wall is the wall. The picture's on the wall. They're interrelated, but they're independent.
Okay.
So for anybody who wants, take a little bit of cinnamon, hold your nose.
Right.
Take the cinnamon. You can taste everything you can taste, independent of smell. As a matter of fact, when you've got a cold, you're a better taster, but you don't get the smell and you don't get that dimension of information.
Oh,
but they're completely independent. So this is the challenge just working in this area in general. There's so much bad information, bad terms.
That junk science stuff. Wow. And Paul has joined us, as has Mike. And Lori is asking, Tim's paper on umami was discussed at the Food and Wine course, at Algonquin Sommelier program. That's here in Ottawa, Tim.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I've actually been to the university there and taught a class and all around Brock University. And my mother was actually born in Toronto.
Oh, wow. You get an honorary Canadian citizenship just for saying that.
with the Society of Wine Educators back in a long time ago, we used to have an annual conference, water polo competition, America versus Canada.
Oh.
And I was part of the A team, EH apostrophe. Yeah. So anyway, so umami is a primary taste.
Okay.
And to be a primary taste, you have to be able to sense it independent of smell and touch and sight and all this.
Gotcha.
Okay. And it comes from natural glutamate in food.
Okay.
And glutamate's one of the most delicious things. This sensation, if you want to try it out, take a raw mushroom, put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and nuke it, let it cool. Mm-hmm. Taste the raw mushroom, and it's got lots of glutamic acid. When it's cooked, it's converted the glutamic acid to glutamate, and there's something new there. It's soft, it's a different texture, but it's also much more desirable and less bitter because you've converted that acid. There's a bitterness to it. It also has some sourness. And then there's a second group of compounds called nucleotides. Nucleotides are found in decomposing food, like anchovies, like cheeses, like dried shiitake mushrooms and stuff like that.
Okay. When you
combine glutamate and nucleotide, you get a 10 times increase in intensity of yumminess. The word yummy probably comes from umami. Huh. And the word umami is associated to it. But anyways, it's just this deliciousness that we crave. And we didn't have anything to describe that in our language. Brillat Savarin in France, writer of The Physiology of Taste, sort of acknowledged it in 1825. And you know when it's in food and you know when it's not. Mm-hmm. But humans love it. Human breast milk has like over 10 times more glutamate than cow's milk.
Wow.
And so we're literally weaned. This is something we associate. Comfort food is typically very, very high in umami. And in my book, I actually
show the book, please.
He and his wife at University of Miami are responsible for finding the actual umami receptor in humans. Wrote kind of a technical description of umami taste for my book.
Oh, show your book, please. There you go. This is one of two, at least, why you like the wines you love. That's it's terrific. It's a great topic because I've been asked this, and even Lise, who joins us tonight, at one point, Lise, I know you had said one time you wanted to discover why you like the wines you like. That's a fundamental question, and why you like certain wines and other people don't. Of course, you can say, oh yeah, well, subjective taste is taste, but I think there's a lot more to it, and you're obviously uncovering that, Tim. So. Let me just make sure I'm picking up what people are saying here, because the comments go by pretty fast, pretty quickly, Tim. I see 5 at a time and then they fall off like a ticker tape on the New York Stock Exchange. So folks, if I miss your comment, please repost it. And after the fact, we'll come back to the Facebook Live here and make sure that we get your questions answered. Stephen in Waterloo is saying Tim was a chef and now he's a taste scientist. Great information. I agree, Stephen.
No, and I'm not a taste scientist. I work with scientists. So just to be clear, I've got mentors and colleagues all around the world, but I'm not the scientist. I just sort of try to bridge concepts and put them into action, see how they apply to us so that we can use the information on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. Lise is saying she's making a dish with hand-picked asparagus and wondered what you'd pair with it or how you'd answer that question with wine.
So to understand this fully, this is my Bible.
Okay. The Ruth. Okay, that's a oldie but goodie, I think.
And it was written in 1938, and this is the 1961 translation of it. You can find these on Amazon, and they're relatively inexpensive, but if you really want to see what cuisine and what wine was like historically, this is a really great resource. Not the modern one. There's a new version of this. You want the older one. Okay? You want the 1961 Crown translation.
Okay.
So I used to be Jancis Robinson called me the wine and food matching guru at one point.
Wow, pretty high praise.
And now I'm asking people, and Jancis agrees with the work that I do also, to stop it.
Stop it, Jancis. Okay.
No,
Okay.
stop matching wine and food.
Oh, just stop it.
Just stop it. It's a really great Bob Newhart clip called "Stop It."
Stop.
You can find.
I will look for that.
Now, but there are principles, and if you understand the principles, everything becomes a lot easier. All right. So let's go to the question of asparagus.
Okay.
Asparagus has the highest levels of free glutamate, all right, the umami taste,
Okay.
of any vegetable.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you have a lot of umami in your food, and this also goes for sweet, the two naturally attractive tastes for human, everybody knows if you brush your teeth and drink orange juice, it sucks. And it's called sensory adaptation. And what's happening is your brain's normalizing to a benchmark of something, and then whatever follows can be heavily influenced positively or negatively, all right?
Okay.
So what happens when you have sweetness in your food and then you try a dry wine, it's brush teeth, drink orange juice.
Right.
If you're giving advice what to have with the dessert, always make sure the wine is sweeter than the dessert. Otherwise, again, brush teeth, drink orange juice.
Yes.
So umami has this, when you have deliciousness in food, you've got umami probably. And whether it's scallops or oysters or aged beef or aged cheeses and so on, it'll make your wine appear to become more bitter and astringent.
Okay.
The solution is unbelievably simple, and it's called Tim's Tequila trick. Take some red wine in a glass.
Okay.
Take a sip. Take a little salt and lemon.
Okay.
Lick that or put it on a body part of a close friend and lick it off that. Scream something like, "Ay, ay, 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 ay," and
Is that
try the
necessary?
wine again, and you'll go, "Oh my God, that's awesome." It completely smooths the wine out.
So lemon and salt? Really?
Yeah.
That's
And
it?
so if you get a chance, try a cherry in a wine that a Pinot Noir, oh, it's got the cherries. This is how
Yeah.
we do wine and food matching. It's really just a bunch of metaphors.
Yes.
So try that.
Okay.
And so sip wine, try cherry, sip wine.
Yeah.
And it'll suck.
Right. It's too sweet. The cherries will make the wine taste bitter by comparison.
Now try a piece of dill pickle.
Oh.
And you're going to go, ooh, dill pickle. Now, this is a false expectation because you really don't know what happens when you have a dill pickle.
Right.
So try a big tannic wine, sip wine, try dill pickle, sip wine, and you'll go, wow. It'll get just smooth and delicious.
Really? So is it smoothing the tannins as well? Like,
See,
yeah?
Yes. And now this in a second, I'm going to have to relate this back to phenotypes.
Yes,
all right?
please. Yeah.
That'll be great. We'll complete a circuit here.
Oh my gosh.
So what you need to know is that if you look and actually I was just looking at Larousse in things a la Bordelaise, all right, or in the fashion of the cuisine of Bordeaux.
Right.
You'll find it. Sauce Bordelaise, lots of umami, the demi-glace, the reduction. The last thing you do is a fresh squeeze of lemon juice and adjust the salt.
Ah.
Now,
Okay.
with your asparagus dish, I suggest you drink a wine you love or that you're really excited about trying, something that Natalie's recommended that called to you and say, oh God, I got to try this.
Okay.
Have your asparagus dish and kind of just lightly season it to begin with. Try the wine, try the asparagus. It may or may not suck.
Okay.
If it does suck, a little squeeze of lemon juice, a little titch of salt, and you'll just find a dramatic difference as it becomes delicious.
I can't wait to try that. Wow.
In Bordeaux, anything that is served, lamb or beef or duck or roast or whatever, the traditional a la bordelaise garnish is including asparagus.
Huh. I always
would
thought
they not eat, would they not eat that because it doesn't go together? Or, we talk about all these things in classics and whatever, but
right.
but there again, we're so way off base that it's kind of crazy.
Because I was always thinking, oh, asparagus, mercaptan or cynarin or whatever those compounds were.
Pyrazine.
Pyrazine, that, yeah. And they just do awful things to wine. But all you need is lemon and salt.
That's all made up.
Oh, it's all made up. That's good to
all
know.
Made up. Yep. So basically what's happening is the sensory adaptation of the glutamate in the asparagus. From whatever benchmark your wine starts from, it will become more sour, more astringent, more bitter. And if you really don't like the pyrazines, if you serve the asparagus with metaphorically the match, something with vegetative and with pyrazines.
Like a Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, so Sauvignon Blanc, it'll actually suck even more.
Oh, just emphasizes. Doesn't match or compensate or anything.
Yeah, so we've got all these. Wine and food pairing today is fun, and it's not based on history. It's not based on tradition. It's based on metaphors and pseudoscience.
Huh.
The whole rationale between red wine and red meat doesn't even happen. It's just the salt you put on the steak.
Wow.
Yeah, so anybody wants to try this, take every form of unsalted pure fat that you can find that doesn't include olive oil because of pH differences and so on.
Okay.
But and it can't be salted. It's got to be unsalted butter. It's got to be a piece of fat right off your roast, but you can't salt it. Okay. It could be pork. It could be lard. Whatever. Try it. Try a strong red wine. Try the fat. Try the wine. It'll get more bitter, more sour, more astringent. It doesn't happen. Okay. It's the salt that we put on the steak that seems to give that softening. It's not the pseudoscience that we've come up with.
So it's all about the salt, and the salt is interacting with the compounds, the tannins of wine.
No, it is. So there are two different dynamics at play. One is called sensory adaptation, which is the brush teeth, drink orange juice, but it's also when you go swimming and it's kind of cold, you play in the sprinklers, it's ice cold, you jump back in the pool, now it seems warm. That's sensory adaptation, and it's happening in your head. Okay. Right? So your brain's just normalizing things. I like that.
Yep.
And then there's salt is known to have a bitter suppressive quality to it. Take the bitter pill with a grain of salt.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And so we can actually see that this has been known. The word, salad just meant anything that's been salted. All right.
Okay.
So, and the word salary comes from salt because people used to be paid what they were worth. You're worth your salt.
Worth your salt. Probably took away the bitterness of life to get paid too.
Yeah.
But something like that.
Anyways,
it's all connected.
So things are actually way more simple than we make them out to be.
Right.
But depending on your phenotype, it also plays a part in how extreme or not these adaptations might be.
Okay.
So we identify 4 phenotypes.
Okay.
Starting with tolerant. Tolerant is almost genetically all men. There are very specific age. They can have as few as 500 taste buds and be masters of wine. Now, remember, there's not a better place. Think of this as a sensitivity continuum. There's not a better place. There's just wherever you are. Right. And it's the hardware that you've been given that you're dealing with.
Right.
All right. So sensory or tolerant phenotypes are linear thinking people. They make certain movements. They relate different ways to spreadsheets. They have certain relationships with empathy and this and that. And they're very end game oriented. They're looking at the destination, they're looking at the goal. So
the task oriented, task not process.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting.
And that's about 15% of people genetically.
Okay.
The sensitive phenotypes, about 35% of people. Sensitive are in the middle, and usually in the range of somewhere between about 3,000 to 5,000 taste buds. And indecisive is helpful.
Indecisive?
Indecisive. They can tolerate a lot of what the tolerance like.
Okay.
But they also have a higher level of sensitivity, so they're attracted to fragrant things and whatever.
Okay.
And because of their flexibility, if you will, they're very context oriented. Oh, well, I want this wine in the summer. They need things to help filter down to make decisions. They make great managers. They're the people that are in the middle helping solve conflict and disputes. They can see both sides of the story, if you will.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
The hypersensitive is in a very vivid realm of sensory perception. They have to cut tags out of their clothes because they irritate them. Tend to be ADHD because their brain's firing off. They see things, they smell things, they hear things that the sensitive and tolerant, don't not even aware of.
Oh.
They have a high degree of empathy because they've been punished their entire life for not paying attention. You sit at the table, quit being such a picky eater. Why can't you be like your brother or sister or whatever? And so they're very much more likely to have rescue pets. It's true. It's crazy stuff.
That is crazy stuff. But Tim, I remove all the tags. I don't feel I've been punished, but I remove all the tags from my clothing. I cannot stand it.
I already. So actually, Natalie, just by what you do and who you are,
yeah.
I already know your phenotype. I've never had to do an assessment of you.
But you did actually. You did do.
Oh, I did. That's
yes.
right.
Yeah, my tongue or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
The tongue. But those are all the classic traits, and it's also people who tend to want to be in the arts, who want to be in media, who want to communicate. They're writers, they're artists. Their world is this.
Right.
The tolerant is this, and
exactly.
You don't march to this.
No, it's true. I always feel like, oh, I wish I couldn't see and hear so much, like the twitch of a jaw muscle. It's like, stop.
That's right.
Is there somebody beyond that?
Sound over there that's driving you crazy.
Yeah.
And are you ultra chaos or are you OCD in your closet?
Oh gosh, well, that's been an evolution. Depends on how much help I have, outsourced help.
Comes and goes
it does come and go.
So it tends to, hypersensitives also tend to be OCD because they don't like things out of place.
Oh gosh, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah, and so they,
scary.
Even to the point of measuring between the hangers in their closet and stuff.
Color
like
coordination, the rainbow gradual gradation. Is there something beyond this level, or is that the extreme? Two more. Okay. All right.
Sweet phenotype, and I'd love to find out if there are any sweet phenotypes listening. Here's all you need to know to qualify to be a sweet phenotype.
Okay.
This is the Sweet Wine Lovers Manifesto. If you love sweet wines and want sweet wine in the summer, winter, spring, and fall, if you want sweet wine with your steak, if you love sangria and Moscato and White Zin or sweet Riesling more than any dry wine, you qualify as a sweet phenotype. These tend to be the normally functioning people at the highest level of the spectrum of sensitivity.
Okay.
And so we got 15% tolerant, about 35% sensitive. Then we've got roughly 25% hypersensitive, 25% sweet phenotypes.
Okay.
And they tend to overlap. So sweet phenotypes also talk dry but drink sweet. So they're responsible for Rombauer Chardonnay and Naomi Pinot Noir.
They're responsible for these wines.
Yeah,
they
they're
create the market. Yeah.
So popular because they really need that little bit of Swiss. And by the way, historically, this has always been a tradition in France. So for all of you, oh, it's got a little bit of sweetness, log off of this program, go watch something else because that's absolute crap. If you look in Larousse Gastronomique, sweet wine, port in France, when they drink port, they drink it before the meal.
Wow.
They drink it during the meal. It's not a dessert wine. That's a fabrication of the United States federal department trying to close a tax loophole in the 1930s. Chateau Yquem was never a dessert wine. Right. It was served to people who love sweet wines.
Right.
So sweet phenotypes very definitely, I mean, to the point that cutting the tags and all this kind of stuff, but we're also now discovering very specific genetic SNPs, SNPs, they're single nucleotide polymorphisms that are responsible. So let's go back to the term supertaster for just a second.
Yes.
If you don't have any of the SNP, and it's been identified, and this is work that Linda Bartoshuk was doing. If you don't have any of the SNPs, when you get the little piece of filter paper, whatever, impregnated with the teourea, you put it on your tongue. It tastes like wet paper. That's it.
Okay.
Just like if you're colorblind, you don't have receptors for certain colors.
Right.
All right. If you've got one SNP, you put it on your tongue, and it kind of may take even a few seconds. It might be more immediate, but yeah, it's not there. And it builds, and that's kind of unpleasant. If you got two SNPs, oh God, make it go away.
Yes.
All right. So this same variation form is for alcohol burn.
Ah.
So a tolerant phenotype typically has 0 of the alcohol warming or the ethanol sensitivity SNP. So actually, Scotch tastes sweet to them.
Oh, okay.
Those big high alcohol red wines that are so popular with Parker and whatever are wonderful to them. They don't get the burning. They're not getting this bitterness and this stuff that you wimps are complaining about. All right?
Yeah.
If you've got one of the SNPs, okay, you know, this wine's fine. Boy, it's really intense. Parker loved it. But over time, you might kind of grow weary of that style of wine, especially as your own expertise and confidence grows. And it's just a bit too much, but it's completely tolerable. To the hypersensitive, it's the fruit's obliterated by the oak. There's so much tannin, the alcohol burns, and so on. How can you drink this?
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that is so insightful. I mean, yeah, Tim, I can't, well, I could taste Scotch and whiskey. We get to taste everything here, but I won't go near it. It's like, that just burns. Can't do it. That is, wow.
So Harvey Posert, the reason my book got written, if you go to my website, timhanai.com, there's links to some of the research that we've done and whatever. In 2010, Dr. Utermohlen and I published a 54-page study of looking at people and all these markers and preferences and this and that. Now, Virginia's work, she's a pediatrician. She does this with kids and studies learning abilities and career choices and personalities and behaviors and so on. And with her study, if she wants to see what trigeminal sensitivity is, which is the burning of menthol or alcohol, it's a touch sensitivity, but it's related to things that we would call a taste. It's not. That burning is a touch sensation.
Okay.
And so she uses Altoid mints or very, very strong mints because it creates a cool, icy, cooling, burning sensation. We use Scotch. So you would probably, it would be a hard stretch for you to like very, very strong mints.
Right, right. Well, I find it's hard. I can't walk through the section in the grocery store that has all the olives. it makes me nauseous. Like I can't do it.
Now we're
Like,
getting to the cooler part, which is the head.
it's all in my mind, is it?
I'm not saying it is or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's say that you've got a hypersensitivity to certain molecules and that you're part of a minority, but you don't know it.
Okay.
And then let's say also, not only are you hypersensitive, but somebody tried to force you to do something or you associate it with a really bad experience.
Okay.
Then what that does is in our sensory system and how memories are associated, how all this works in our head, you get these molecules and it's like, oh, because it's actually transporting you back to the moment. You're having memories associated with whatever those molecules are. And you don't, and at least you know that it's, you know, associated with the illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if you wrote a story about that and said, oh, everybody, oh, you know, everybody's got, this is the way it's got to be for everybody, it's not.
No.
And so this is what happens with wine and food. And if you try for the person trying the asparagus, try a really strong, intense red wine. And if it's already at the upper limits or maybe even beyond of what you like, the asparagus could push it even worse. That's a bad match for you.
Right.
Because
I saw
necessarily for anybody else.
A phrase on your site, match it to the diner, not the dinner. Match the wine to the diner.
That was Harvey Posert, the
okay, love that.
Senior vice president of Mondavi for 15 years. One of the greatest, the pioneer, the PR specialist of the wine industry. I mean, a hero amongst us people. And he had also worked for over 30 years for the California Wine Institute.
Okay.
He came up to me at a party. He said, I read, he's from Memphis. I love to do my Harvey voice. I read your work that you published with the doctor at Cornell, and it changed my life. You have to write a book.
That's great.
I said, well, what the hell happened, Harvey? He said, I'm one of these things you call a sweet phenotype. Okay. And I told Bob Mondavi when he hired me, I said, Bob, I don't even like your wines. I can't drink them.
That's great.
and so he put me together with Sasha Paulson, and this actually gets us to the fifth dimension. Okay, so we got hypersensitive, right?
Yeah.
The fifth category is autistic.
Okay, autistic in the medical sense?
If you look at anything written in the description of autism, you know, what it is a very different relationship with sensory sensitivity to the point of speaking to them, and it hurts. They have to wear earmuffs because their hearing is so incredibly acute.
Yeah, right. Right.
They can't look at you this way. They have to look this way because they've got to see you in the periphery to be able to differentiate you from all the clutter that they see.
Right. They're taking in too much sensory information.
Yeah.
Wow. So way beyond Supertaster.
On the cusp.
Yeah.
And that have one foot in autism, and they tend to be unbelievably brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And intuitive. And they tend to be sweet wine drinkers. That if the wine and so I actually created the explosion of Moscato with work I was doing with Trinchero, Sutter Home, and identified Moscato as the next big thing. Not Riesling, not Rosé, but Moscato. They go, why? And I said, because my mother-in-law loves it, and my research colleague loves it. Right. And they are both sweet phenotypes. Mm-hmm. And you need to keep it below 11% alcohol because anything above starts to hurt. Yeah. You've got to keep it completely free of sulfites and off odors. It's got to be just exquisitely fragrant and fruity. And it's got to be really low in phenolics. And it needs to be at least 30 grams per liter or 3% residual sugar or greater. So I helped them to reformulate, repackage, relaunch their Moscato. They went from 125,000 cases in 2007 to 7 years later, 3.5 million cases.
Well done. You wrote a book too. Do you have that book?
What's that?
Do you have the book on Moscato? Yes, Moscato Manifesto.
This is Wine Lovers Manifesto.
Okay.
This is for consumers
Okay.
who are sick and tired of going into a steakhouse and, oh, well, we don't serve that kind of wines. That's for novices, and you must live in a trailer or something. and the industry really just, can I say bitch slap?
Yeah.
We need to bitch slap the wine industry and say, stop it, you morons.
Right.
These wines were always loved and appreciated by the French with beef, with bistecca alla fiorentina in Italy, which, by the way, is a heavily salted porterhouse served with lemon. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And it just, we really need to connect with people on their terms and,
Yes.
and quit this disenfranchisement, particularly of people who love sweet wines. So.
Absolutely. And Stephen has a comment here. So we should drink who we are.
Yeah.
Isn't that
like
great?
that, Stephen.
Stephen, Yahoo. Lise loves you. You've released her from all the whatever chains she was bound in. So Tim, we are going so quickly. We're already at 40 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I want to make sure everyone knows about the course that you offer in what we're talking about tonight. Tell us about it. It's an online course that people can register for. Yes, we're just opening up registration. So it's myvinotype.com. Okay.
MYVINOTYPE.
Okay. And I will put that while Tim goes and gets his whatever. I will. Oh, nice visual. Well done, Tim.
You wanted a visual. I had a visual.
You get full marks for visuals.
/webinar.
Okay. So I'll make sure. So myvinotype.com/webinar.
That is correct.
I'll make sure.
It's a 2-hour thing, and for everybody who signs up, we'll send you a template of 4 different wines you can choose to pour. Okay. And a little food plate also, if you'd like to assemble it. That's got asparagus and wine, cooked mushroom, and tomatoes, and salt and lemon. Okay. And stuff. And then we go through basically what's in the book step by step. If you do the setup, we'll also go through identifying things with taste and smell and how those are separate yet interdependent.
I'm on board. Totally doing this. So I will post the link on our Facebook chat, but also in the blog post where I will embed this video, Tim.
Awesome.
This is so amazing. I want to have you back for part 2. This has been epic, and I feel like we've just sort of skimmed the surface like a skipping a rock over a calm lake here. But is there anything that I haven't mentioned, Tim, that you'd like to make sure we mention before we wrap up this part of our conversation?
One sort of caveat, if you will. A lot of people are really confronted from what I'm promoting. Oh, sommeliers will lose jobs, or wait, no, I learned this, I love this, and so on. Keep loving what you love. Okay. Just think for a moment that the setting on the thermostat might be great for you, but not for your partner because they're living in a different sensory world. So the thermostat's one of the chief places where this clash of different phenotypes shows up, interestingly enough. Wow. For a second, stop living in your head with wine and food pairing and actually pay attention to what happens before you jump to whether it's good or not. Because once you've created a metaphor that this is a match, that these things go together, etc., you actually stop experiencing what happens with the wine and food. Right. And then the last of all, keep some salt and lemon handy, get some good pickles, and see, and do it, share it with friends at dinner. Say, hey, and if you're a sweet phenotype especially, send me an email if you want, or whatever, because it's just a horrible misrepresentation of history and tradition. French, Spanish, German, Italians always love sweet wines. And we're just kicking everyone who does out of the game. totally disenfranchise them. So stop that.
Stop that. Words to end on. No, but I love that. Like, yeah, absolutely. This is great advice. We're going to post that link. Tim, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely a pleasure, Natalie.
That's awesome.
Absolutely an honor also.
Oh, my honor, my pleasure. So, Tim, we're going to have you back because I haven't even had a chance to keep up with all of the comments, but you've got some registrants looking, thirsty registrants looking for the link. So we'll make sure to post that and we will get that out there as well on social media. So Tim, thanks again, and we will chat with you again soon.
Fantastic. Cheers. Have a great, great evening.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. I'm hoping you can still see and hear me. So we're trying to keep with this format of our guest. Of course, Tim was so interesting. It was really hard to cut him off. But we'll have him back again. He has so much valuable information to offer. Oh, good. Hey, Malcolm, enologize. You must have been lapping this up, given you also teach courses. So, guys, we've got 10 minutes here. Oh, a masterclass. Yeah, I know, Lori, it flew by, didn't it? We can talk about what we just heard. Yes, Lise, we'll bring him on again, loud and clear. Paul, terrific. We can talk about what we just talked about. Any other questions? I always go back to our guests now and invite them, ask them to come back into the group tomorrow and answer questions that were not answered. So it's worth posting them now, and if you're watching the video replay, please still comment because it's valuable, it's good feedback. We'll still jump in and comment. So guys, feel free to post if you have questions related or anything else wine-wise. I wonder if anybody, just as a trivia thing, can guess what's different about my backdrop. Anybody? Anyway, I don't know if anybody noticed anything or cared. But let's see, what was I discovering this week? I've been tasting Clausen Chase from Picton, their Chardonnays, very nice. What else have I been tasting? Who has discovered something else? New house, yes. No more painting. Very good, Malcolm. I'm moving. So guys, this Friday I'm out of this house, so everything is gone. I might be a bit more echoey right now because all the furniture's gone. I put in a temporary rug, but it still feels like I'm in an abandoned house, which it will be Friday. So apologies for that. Yes, the picture is gone from the Rubicon. You're right, Stephen. You guys are attentive. Who's got a wine that they found lately and just absolutely loved? First Love, I've discovered from Huff. Oh yes, Lise, you've been in Picton, and I know you've been emailing me about certain things, and I've been putting emails, not just yours, but anything in the not forest fire related folder. So what I mean by that is everything is chaos this week, and so I'm just trying to attend to the stuff that must be done, or something, will blow up on me. So I know you've been asking some questions, and I will get to you, I promise. I appreciate your patience and diligence. Let's see. I figured packing. Thank you, Lise. What else can I tell you? I went to an interesting tasting this week. Lori was not there. She was traveling. Some other folks were here from Ottawa. We were tasting with San Pedro, the 1865 label, which was fantastic. It was really good. Lori, I'm drinking the Casadei from Picton, the Cuvée 2016 pre-dinner. It's lovely. Yes, Stephen is drinking the Amplus Cabernet. Where's that from? Chile. Okay, gotcha. Anil, this is always a tongue twister. Malcolm, analogize. I tried the Cave Springs CSV Riesling 2014. Very delicious. I would have liked to see it in 5 to 10 years. That twigs something for me, Malcolm. So I'm moving, as I just said, and I'm cleaning out my cellar, and I'm discovering bottles that I forgot about, which is a crime. especially if you open them and they're past peak. But sometimes it works out just nicely. So I opened a Lely Cabernet from Niagara 2001. So we're talking 16 years later, and it was amazing. It tasted like a Bordeaux, but it had the Niagara signature. Just, I love when that happens. Also, okay, Malcolm is also into his Pappy Von Winkle bourbon. So as a super taster tag removing wine critic, I don't do bourbon, although the sweetness would help. Okay, Lise, I would need to know about the cellar in the new house. Okay, Lise, will do. We'll get on that. Lise, 2012 Pinot from the Grange. So Lise, yeah, I trust you had a great visit there. I know we're connecting you with some wineries and winemakers, so I'm glad for that. I'm going to start to lose my voice soon because I've been talking to movers today, yesterday, the day before, and I can feel it. Anyway, I can't wait. So that reminds me, next week, next Sunday, guys, I'm taking a break because this Friday we do our last move out of this house. I'm going into an apartment for a month, temporary, and then we finally get to go into our new house. So chaos. Maybe I'll do like an informal video, but I don't have a guest. I don't have a schedule. So we'll just play it by ear, but no formal Sunday Sipper Club next Sunday. Thank you, Stephen. The bourbon. So great, guys. I'm so glad you were here tonight. Again, you make my week. I love these interactions. I think we can continue to build and optimize. I'm working with the technology. Okay, Malcolm, and yes. Oh, Lori tried the aged, mature Chardonnay de Charme. Yes. Thank you, Lise. I will go to the spa and rest up. Thank you, because I'm just about feel hoarse. Anyway, guys, thank you. Please continue to log in. I know it's going to be, we're on to summertime and it's harder. You can watch the replay, but I will be back in 2 weeks. That's the 18th of June with somebody or just me, one of the two. But we'll get back onto the routine. Routine is everything, especially for us OCD super tasters, tag removing, everybody, all the descriptors he gave me. That was kind of scary. Anyway, I will see you again soon, guys, and have a great week. Take care.